Imagine one small daily habit slowly reshaping how your body feels, moves, recovers, and even thinks across every single day. Most people wake up tired, stiff, foggy, and frustrated, blaming age while quietly missing the real reason hiding deep inside. They chase costly powders, shiny gadgets, and trendy pills, yet still feel soft, drained, and stuck in the same body. What if the real answer was cheap, simple, and sitting unnoticed on a shelf the whole time you searched everywhere? What if serious scientists studied this exact compound for 30 years across thousands of careful human trials around the world? By the end of this, you will understand exactly why so many quietly call it the most worthwhile supplement existing. It hides in plain sight, dismissed as a gym powder, while quietly doing far more than the marketing ever explained. Only 5 grams a day is everything the research quietly asks, and the effects keep building gently inside you afterward. This is not a stimulant, not a fat burner, and not a chemical hiding some dangerous list of harsh effects. It is simple creatine monohydrate, but not the careless, cheap version most people grab quickly without reading anything important first. Before going deeper, let me explain something the loud supplement industry would honestly prefer you never fully understood at all. That entire industry survives on bold promises, shiny labels, and powders that stay underdosed, poorly mixed, or simply ineffective dust. Walk down any supplement aisle and you face hundreds of loud labels, each screaming promises that rarely survive scientific scrutiny. Most tubs claiming fat loss or energy contain barely enough of anything for your body to genuinely feel real change. They add a tiny pinch only to print it on the label, never enough to truly shift how you feel. That clever trick is exactly how billions get made, selling tired people pure hope while delivering nothing meaningful inside them. Creatine is genuinely different, and the reason stays simple, because it is not a trend your feed invented last week. It is a natural compound your own cells already make, already use, and quietly need more than most people realize. Your liver and kidneys produce a little each day, while every cell constantly burns through its own limited working supply. You also get small amounts from red meat and fish, but rarely enough to fully saturate your hungry muscle stores. This is exactly why vegetarians and vegans often start lower and frequently respond the most strongly to a daily dose. If you eat little or no meat, your baseline stores sit lower, so the shift you feel can be dramatic. Researchers have studied it seriously since the early 1990s, and the human evidence stays remarkably consistent across those decades. When you take 5 grams daily, your strength slowly climbs, your recovery sharpens, and your muscles begin rebuilding more efficiently. Some studies even hint that certain inflammation markers may gently ease, though we stay honest and never promise overnight miracles. Your mitochondria, those tiny power plants humming inside every cell, start producing usable energy with noticeably greater speed and ease. Mental fog can lift, focus can sharpen, and many people report feeling more present, more awake, and more alive afterward. Picture the worn-out parent, the drained student, the foggy office worker, all quietly blaming themselves for slowly fading energy. None of them are broken or lazy. Their cellular energy system is simply running closer to empty than it should.
Now let me explain the real mechanism, because once you understand it, skipping even a single day feels almost impossible. Inside every one of your cells sit microscopic structures called mitochondria, whose entire job is producing energy, keeping you alive. They make that energy as a molecule called ATP, though you honestly never need to memorize that intimidating little term. Just know ATP is the currency your body spends whenever your heart beats, your muscles move, or your brain thinks. Creatine quietly stores extra phosphate inside your cells, and the moment energy runs short, it helps regenerate ATP almost instantly. This system fires hardest in the first few explosive seconds of any sprint, heavy lift, or sudden burst of effort. Picture it simply like this. Creatine is not the electricity itself, it is the backup generator activating when demand spikes. You feel this system every time you rush upstairs, sprint for a bus, or lift something suddenly heavier than expected. Without that quick backup, your cells fatigue faster, your output drops, and that final rep simply slips out of reach. Here's the part barely anyone discusses, and it is exactly why creatine matters more than the average person assumes. Creatine does not merely create energy, it may also help shield your cells from daily oxidative stress that slowly accumulates. When a cell runs critically low on energy, it can slip into a stressed state that drives unwanted inflammatory signaling. That low-energy stress is loosely linked to aching joints, sluggish recovery, dragging moods, and a heavy feeling of tiredness. But when your cells stay energy-rich and well-supplied, they simply work calmer, steadier, and closer to their design. The International Society of Sports Nutrition calls creatine among the safest and most studied supplements ever examined in human research. That is not marketing noise written by a brand. It is a conclusion drawn from decades of independent human trials. Now let us talk about fat, because this is precisely where confusion spreads and false promises start sounding extremely tempting. Creatine is not a fat burner, and it will never melt fat directly the lazy way a harsh stimulant pretends. What it actually does is quieter, slower, and far more useful. It helps fix the foundation your metabolism depends upon. The first mechanism is more muscle, and muscle is the single most metabolically active tissue your entire body carries around. The more lean muscle you slowly build, the more energy your resting body burns naturally, while sitting still doing nothing. Human studies repeatedly show creatine paired with regular resistance training increases lean mass, raises strength, and improves recovery between sessions. More muscle also helps your body handle carbohydrates better, quietly steadying the energy crashes that drag so many afternoons down. The second mechanism is better training because creatine lets you push harder, lift heavier, and recover faster between working sets. A handful of extra reps each session may seem tiny, yet across months, that quiet compounding reshapes your entire physique. Imagine adding one extra rep weekly, then multiply across a full year, and the difference in your strength becomes staggering. The third mechanism is subtler, supporting a calmer internal environment where your body can finally use stored fat as designed. So creatine doesn't magically erase belly fat overnight. Instead, it slowly removes hidden barriers that block steady fat loss.
Here is a truth most influencers and even some doctors overlook while chasing complicated diets and punishing extreme exercise routines. Many people struggling with stubborn fat are not actually overfed. They are under-muscled, carrying too little tissue for healthy metabolism. The problem often is not that they eat too much food, it is that their inner engine grew too small. Creatine helps rebuild that engine at the cellular level, which is why consistent users frequently notice steady changes in composition. Research shows creatine can increase lean mass, strength, muscle fiber size, and the repair activity rebuilding tissue after every workout. Those repair cells act like your private muscle-building crew, and creatine appears to wake them up and keep working. It may also improve the signaling behind protein synthesis, meaning the protein you already eat works harder toward building muscle. Creatine also pulls a little water into your muscle cells, and that gentle swelling itself signals your body toward growth. You may also notice less soreness and faster bounce back, letting you train more often without feeling completely wrecked afterward. Remember though, creatine rewards effort, so its muscle benefits show up most clearly when you actually train with real consistency. There is a clear reason nearly every serious athlete and smart lifter keeps creatine inside their daily routine every year. And no, this does not only apply to young men, because women respond beautifully and safely to the same dose. Creatine will not make women bulky or heavy. It simply supports lean tone, steady strength, and better recovery from training. Now, here is something important if you happen to be over the age of 40 and worried about losing strength. Older adults often gain an even bigger benefit from creatine than younger people do, which surprises almost everyone hearing this. One well-known study reported lean mass gains, better strength scores, and improved body composition in consistent older creatine users. That happened even without major changes to their protein intake, because creatine primes the muscle machinery to respond efficiently again. If you're over 40 and losing strength despite trying everything, please hear this honest message clearly and without fear. Part of that decline reflects naturally falling creatine levels with age, and daily supplementing is among the simplest tools available. This single habit can help protect the strength, mobility, and independence that quietly matter more with each passing year forward. Early research even hints creatine paired with training may support bone strength, though scientists are still carefully confirming those findings.
Now, let us talk about your brain, because this surprising part remains one of the most fascinating and underappreciated angles. Most people assume creatine only works inside muscles, yet your hungry brain stores and burns creatine throughout every mental day. Your brain leans on creatine reserves heavily during stress, focus, poor sleep, and the long, exhausting days modern life delivers. When those brain reserves run low, you feel it fast, through fog, forgetfulness, slow thinking, and mental fatigue dragging everything. Human trials suggest creatine supports memory, attention, and clearer thinking, especially when you are sleep-deprived, stressed, or mentally overloaded. Students, shift workers, new parents, and the chronically underslept may notice this mental lift more than almost anyone around. It raises brain phosphocreatine, helping protect neurons from the energy shortages that quietly contribute to fatigue and foggy cognitive performance. Scientists are even exploring creatine for protecting the aging brain, though this stays active research rather than any guaranteed promise. Still, if your mind feels slow, flat, or foggy, creatine is honestly one of the cheapest experiments genuinely worth trying. Some small studies even explore creatine alongside therapy for low mood, though this remains early and never replaces real treatment. Think about the afternoon crash, the lost words, the rereading of one paragraph 3 times before anything actually registers properly. That daily mental drag is exactly the kind of struggle a well-fueled, creatine-supported brain often handles better afterward. Beyond the brain, some people with stiff, aching joints report better comfort and easier movement after staying consistent with creatine. Because creatine supports cellular energy, you may feel the difference across your joints, lower back, mornings, recovery, and daily resilience. Now here is the most supplement brands avoid, because it explains why so many people try creatine feeling nothing. Not all creatine sold is equal, and lower quality products can absorb poorly, mix badly, and occasionally upset sensitive stomachs. Cheaper manufacturing sometimes cuts corners during purification, which is partly why people feel bloating or mild discomfort the first time. Poor micronization means the particles stay too large, so instead of dissolving cleanly, they sit heavy and frustrate your gut. So when someone says creatine hurt their stomach or did nothing, I usually suspect the cheap product, not the molecule. And no, creatine is not a steroid or a drug, it is simply a natural compound found in everyday food. And no, creatine does not cause cramps or dehydration. That worn-out warning was disproven by careful research years ago. A trusted standard in research is pure, micronized creatine monohydrate, ideally tested independently and verified for purity by third parties. Look for products showing transparent third-party testing, fine micronization for smooth mixing, and no pointless fillers crowding the label. You do not need anything fancy, exotic, or expensive. You simply need clean, tested creatine monohydrate and steady, patient consistency. Ignore the flashy hybrid versions promising faster magic, because plain monohydrate remains the most proven, most affordable, most reliable form.
The dosing is refreshingly simple, and the research here stays unusually clear compared to almost every other confusing supplement available. 5 grams each day is the well-supported dose for most adults, regardless of body weight, gender, or training level. You do not need any loading phase, and you never need to cycle on and off. Stay steady and patient. The exact timing barely matters, so morning, evening, before or after training, just pick whatever moment you will actually remember. And this habit costs only pennies per serving, making it one of the cheapest health upgrades you could possibly choose. I personally stir mine into morning coffee, where it dissolves cleanly, adds no flavor, and starts my day with energy. If coffee's not your thing, mix it into water, a smoothie, or whatever drink you reliably finish each morning. Attaching it to an existing habit you already repeat daily is the simplest trick for staying consistent without straining willpower. Keeping the tub and scoop somewhere visible, right beside your kettle or sink, removes the only real reason people forget. The people who win this are never the most motivated, just the ones who refuse to overthink one tiny scoop. Creatine will not break a fast. It carries no calories, triggers no insulin spike, and fits inside almost any window. It is widely considered safe for long-term daily use in healthy adults, including women, older people, and dedicated athletes. If you happen to have any existing kidney condition, please check with your own doctor first before starting any supplement. But for most healthy people, creatine carries one of the longest, cleanest safety records of any supplement studied across decades. Decades of monitoring across thousands of people have shown no meaningful harm to healthy kidneys, despite that stubborn, lingering myth. You may notice slight early weight gain, but relax, because that is water drawn into muscle, not new stubborn fat. That extracellular water is a good sign, showing your thirsty muscles are finally absorbing and holding the creatine properly. Just drink enough water through the day, stay reasonably hydrated, and your body adjusts to this change quickly and easily. Real change compounds slowly in a way hard to appreciate until you have stayed consistent for 30 straight honest days. Many people notice shifts within the first week, while clearer strength, energy, and focus become obvious around the 30 mark. The biggest mistake by far is expecting overnight magic, then quitting after 5 impatient days, long before any benefits arrive. Track it, maybe a photo, a lift number, or a quick note, so your slow progress becomes impossible to ignore. What happens if you accidentally miss one day? Almost nothing. Your stored creatine does not suddenly crash or vanish overnight. You take it again the next quiet morning and calmly continue, because the real secret here is consistency, not perfection.
Can you take it on an empty stomach? Yes, when it is a clean, micronized product that mixes smoothly enough. Can you stack it alongside magnesium, electrolytes, or protein? Absolutely, because creatine cooperates peacefully with nearly every other sensible supplement. Does it behave differently across diets? No. Whether you eat low-carb, high-carb, vegan, or keto, benefits stay consistent. Can you take it at night? Yes. Current research does not show creatine disrupting normal, healthy sleep for most people. Do you need expensive, flavored versions? No. The plain, unflavored powder works perfectly and usually costs less per daily serving. Treat creatine as a quiet foundation, not a magic pill, supporting the real work of training, sleeping, and eating well. It will never replace good food, honest movement, or proper rest, but it amplifies every consistent effort you genuinely make. Most people will scroll past this, change nothing, and feel exactly the same a year from today, still quietly searching. You can choose differently right now with one tiny scoop and the simple patience that almost nobody around you practices. 30 days from now, you could either be exactly where you stand today or quietly 2 steps ahead of yourself. So the honest bottom line is refreshingly simple. Creatine monohydrate is among the most researched, affordable, useful daily supplements created. It supports lean muscle, steadier energy, sharper focus, and a calmer environment where your body can function closer to intended. 5 clean grams, 1 small daily scoop taken from a trusted, tested source, and your patient biology starts thanking you. This is not hype, not a trend, and not another empty promise. Decades of steady, honest research pointing one direction. So start today, stay consistent, and return in 30 days to notice how different your body, mind, and energy feel.